Well, hello there and welcome back to the workshop, and here we have a Philips N2510 stereo cassette recorder dating from the early to mid 1970s. I think this sort of dates between about 1972-73, and when I had this apart last night I did actually find the date inside it, but unfortunately I can't remember what it was, so and I'm not taking it apart again, so I'll say that it's between about 1972-73 sort of time, which would be about right because it's got the old-fashioned Philips cassette drive there, which they used from the sort of late 60s, well actually early 60s, right through the 70s. So yeah, that's about the age of it. And I bought this from eBay well before Christmas, I think probably in about September, October last year, but I've only just got round to repairing it because there are quite a few things here awaiting repair. But this is a lovely deck. I've actually got two others that are the same. I've got one that is badged as a Philips and looks exactly the same as this one, and I have another one which is made by Pi, but it is basically a Philips just badged as a Pi. The only difference being that the colourings are slightly different on the casing, and the decals on the front and the top are a bit different. Other than that, it is exactly the same machine with the same electronics and mechanics. Now, this one is in very good condition, but not quite as pristine as the other one I've got, but nevertheless it wasn't too bad. The inevitable thing needed to be done. The belts are turned to the nasty Philips sticky gooey mess, and there are three belts in there, one for the main drive belt and one for the fast forward and rewind and one for the counter. And the one for the counter hadn't gone to that nasty sticky gooey mess, they never do, but it actually stretched and the counter wouldn't rotate at all, so that's been replaced. And yeah, the usual with the other belts: cellulose thinners, lots of cotton buds, lots of patience, lots of mess, and you know, about half an hour, 40 minutes later you've got a nice clean deck. But I don't need to make any more of those videos. I've cleaned so many of these out now, it gets a bit tedious, I'm sure. But anyway, so that's done. The good thing about this deck, if I turn this light out, all the lamps still work. Absolutely none of them have blown. Got that one there for the dynamic noise limiter, ferric oxide tape, and if I eject this, chrome tapes. Yep, they all work, as do the VU meters, so that's nice because they do quite often blow, these lamps, and I have got a few in stock, but not that many now. And the other thing I had to do was, there were metal trims that went on these side panels here and here. The one on this side was missing completely. Don't know where that had gone, probably fell off years ago, but it wasn't with it. And the one on this side was dented, scratched, and was falling off, and it looked as if someone had tried to stick it back on with something, but it hadn't worked, so it looked a bit untidy. But I actually used the old trim to make two new ones. These are made out of black plastic, and this black plastic was in fact a video cassette box. I had a videotape here, nothing important on it, and looked at the box and thought that sort of plastic would be rather nice to have on here. And I had just enough of the videotape box to make these two panels, using the old one as a template so I could cut round it to make these. And all I used was a very sharp Stanley knife blade, and yeah, the template, that's all I did, and it came out nicely. It's good plastic to work with. You don't want anything too hard or brittle because you'd be there for ages trying to cut it out. So that's worked nicely. And although these side panels would have originally been silver to match this brushed silver look, my Pi machine actually has black sides anyway, as standard. So these black sides don't look out of place because it sort of goes with this black panel going down the middle of the machine. So you wouldn't know that that's not original, really. Unless you look at my other one, which still has the silver panels. But yeah, it still looks smart and presentable, and that's basically what I wanted to achieve, so that's worked. And the other thing, which was a little bit more difficult to rectify, and this only happened whilst I was actually in the middle of repairing it last night. This plastic button here, you can see it on these keys here, originally had two plastic lugs on the other side of this, which interlocked with the metal fascia of the key through to the plastic button underneath, which operates the record switch. And yeah, these are just like a push and twist fit. They're not designed to come off, really. But last night, when I pressed stop after doing a test recording, this little plastic button whizzed past my ear behind me and disappeared. And I thought that was the end of it, but I managed to find it. And there it is. But this is made out of a brittle plastic, and the lugs you can see have gone there. And I don't know where they went. I think I found one inside it. I don't know where the other bit went. But there would be no good in me trying to super glue those back on there. They wouldn't go back on anyway. And there's a spring behind this button which makes it return to the top there. And the force of doing that, which I think was probably the thing that broke it anyway, would just snap it off again. Of course, this thing is, 45 plus years old, and plastic does go brittle with age, and that's obviously what happened. And I hope it doesn't, but the same could always happen to any of these. But thankfully I managed to come up with a solution. It's not exactly pretty, but it does the job. And it's just a nut and bolt, which I've had to cut down with the Dremel over there. Cut it down to size, because it only needed to be about that long. And I've managed to nut and bolt through the metal fascia, through the plastic key, and underneath to where it joins up with the linkage that does the record switch. And thankfully the head of the bolt here is about the same size, same shape obviously, as the originals. It's just that it stands a bit more proud because it's a metal bolt head, and of course you've got the slot there for the screwdriver, and I've lined it up so it goes that way. It looked a little bit better going that way, and yep, just done it up tightly, bolted it through. I had to drill out a bit through the plastic underneath as well to fit it through, and that's nutted and bolted through there, and that's a nice solid repair, and it's not likely to pop out again. And if the same does happen to these, I'll do the same repair, I expect. So yeah, that's that fixed, and hopefully it doesn't do that again. And apart from what I've just mentioned, I haven't done any more to it. Once I fitted the new belts, had to change the speed, adjust the speed accordingly to the tension of the belts, and the speed is now spot on. And I haven't replaced any heads. I haven't even had to realign the heads because they're set up just right. So it's got the original head in there, and record head, and the pinch roller. All I've done is clean the heads and the pinch roller. Other than that, everything else is pretty much original, which is nice, as I try to keep things as original as I can, really.